Hello my dear students, I welcome you all for this video presentation on Introduction to Macroeconomics. This is Dr. Suryanarayana S. Gure, Assistant Professor at Ganpatrao Arvade College of Commerce, Sandli. I have made this video lecture for second year become students since this concept of macroeconomics is part of second year become students third semester unit number 1 under macroeconomics subject. But this video lecture is also useful for other students who are preparing for competitive examinations like banking, CAS, CA courses, because this is a general knowledge concept I am going to discuss in this video. Let us start the discussion. In the first slide, I have presented the contents we are going to discuss in this video. So let us go through what this video contains. Here, this video contains the introduction to the macroeconomics, the brief distinction or difference between micro and macroeconomics, meaning and definition of macroeconomics, nature of macroeconomics, scope of macroeconomics, variables of macroeconomics, and finally conclusion of this video lecture. Let us go one by one the contents in the next slides. Introduction. Before going to discuss about the introduction of macroeconomics, just recall the discussion we had in the first year for semester first and semester second. We discussed in the first year, both for semester first and second, about microeconomics. That means one of the major branch of economics. Under microeconomics, we discussed some principles, theories, some elements like consumer behavior, demand forecasting, production function, different market structures like perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, like that. So completely and exclusively we have discussed the microeconomics in the first year. But coming to this second year, we completely change the discussion from micro to macro. Means the another branch of economics. So in the second year for semester third and fourth, we are going to discuss about macroeconomics, which differs from microeconomics. So just remember this distinction between the micro and macro we discussed in the first and second year BCom. Let us go to the introduction. As we all aware about that, the modern economics was broadly classified into microeconomics and macroeconomics by the classical economist Ragnar Frisch in the year 1933. He was the first economist who coined these terms of microeconomics and macroeconomics. Both the microeconomics and macroeconomics deals with economic issues or economic elements or economic variables and provides logical solutions to the issues. But only difference is microeconomics deals the issues in a different way or different issues. Macroeconomics deals the issues in different way. Means microeconomics deals small units or individual units, whereas macroeconomics deals with aggregate units or total units or aggregate variables. So that is the basic distinction between micro and macroeconomics. So how macroeconomics became popular or how it was using by the nations or countries policymakers is that basically we should credit this popularization of macroeconomics to the Professor J.M. Keynes, who published his famous book entitled The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money in the year 1936. After the Great Depression the world faced in the 1930s, Keynes has published this book which became very popular, and until 1930 the world countries were used to follow the microeconomic principles. But after experiencing the Great Depression during 1930s, countries trying to implement or follow the macroeconomic policies after 1930. So we can say that J.M. Keynes was one of the great economists who popularized the macroeconomics after 1930. With his book, that is General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. And then after, the macroeconomics is very popular. So this macroeconomic subject also branch also known as a theory of income and employment. Next, going to the meaning and definition of macroeconomics. The term macroeconomics, as we discussed already, that first used in economics by Ragnar Frisch. You can see the peak of this Ragnar Frisch, who coined this term of macroeconomics and microeconomics. So macroeconomics is basically, the word macro came from the Greek word macros. So what do you mean by macros? Macros means big or large. So that is the meaning of macros in Greek. So we can say macroeconomics deals with aggregate units or aggregate variables, or deals with the economic behavior of the entire nation or entire economy, or sometimes the entire world. That's what we can say macros, that is big or large. And coming to the definitions of macroeconomics, here I have taken only the single definition, though many economists have given many definitions to the macroeconomics. This definition I have taken is from, taken the definition is that given by R.G.D. Allen. So if you go through the definition given by R.G.D. Allen, it is very clear that what macroeconomics is and what it deals with. So that is the significance of this definition. That is the reason I have taken this definition to present to you about the macroeconomics. The term macroeconomics applies to the relation between broad economic aggregates. It is a study of aggregate averages of the entire economy, such as total employment, unemployment, national income, national output, total investment, total consumption, total saving, aggregate demand, general price level, wage level, interest rate, cost structure. You can go through that, how many variables he has given in his definition. So what macroeconomics deals with and what macroeconomics is, that we can understand very clearly with the support of this definition. So that's why I have taken this definition. So this definition includes many economic, that means macroeconomic variables. Let us go to distinguish between the micro and macroeconomics. You can see this small pic I have pasted here, that is micro versus macroeconomics. You can see the pic, that is entire globe has been presented. If you look about the peak, the entire globe is nothing but macroeconomics, whereas the highlighted area of this part is called as micro. Means microeconomics deals with very small part or selected aspects of macroeconomics, but macroeconomics deals with either entire economy or either entire world. Means with the support of this peak, we can say that how micro differs from macro, or how both these branches are differs with each other. And coming to some points I have presented here for better understanding of the distinction between micro and macro economics. You can see this. Under microeconomics, I have given some points to understand what microeconomics is. And on the other side, the macroeconomics points also given to have some comparative study. So under microeconomics, see the first point that micro means small or few. We already discussed in the last slide that macro means big or large. And the same way, the word micro also came from the Greek word micros. Micros means small or few, whereas macro means big or large. So that is the first distinction between micro and macroeconomics. And the second point, you can go through that. Microeconomics deals with individual units. What do you mean by individual units? Means microeconomics deals with about an individual, about a firm, about a particular society, about a particular area, or about a particular region. But coming to the macroeconomics, it deals with aggregate units. What do you mean by aggregate units? Aggregate units means total. That means total income of a nation, total consumption of a nation, total investment of a nation, total employment of the nation, like that. Means microeconomics deals with income of an individual or a group of individuals. But coming to the macroeconomics, it deals with the total income of a nation. That means national income it deals with. Means the total number of people in the country will be included in this macroeconomic analysis, whereas micro deals with only few people or limited. And third is, it is known as a price theory. Microeconomics generally known as a price theory. The reason is it deals with individual units are selected or limited units, therefore it named as a price theory related to the particular area, particular region, or particular individuals. But coming to the macroeconomics, see this, it is known as income and employment theory. Means it deals with the entire economy variables, that means macroeconomic variables, that is national income, total national employment, national unemployment, national savings, national consumption, like that. So that is the reason micro is named as a price theory, macro is named as a income and employment theory. The next point is microeconomics is simple analysis. It's very simple. Means analysis can be done in a simple manner for microeconomics. But coming to the macroeconomics, it is very complex analysis. Take an example of that. In our home, there may be one or two vehicles, or hardly three vehicles will be there. So we can identify easily, or someone new person can identify easily. That is simple. But if you go to the particular ST stand or bus complex, we can find number of platforms, number of vehicles. So what it means, it is very complex to identify. So here, microeconomics deals with fewer selected units, therefore the analysis is simple. But coming to macro, it is very complex nature. The reason is it includes the total country or total society or the total world. Therefore, the analysis is complex in macro. And coming to another point, micro covers the variables like demand, supply, consumption, factor pricing. And coming to macro, it covers the variables like national income, general price level, distribution of national income, like that. Means microeconomics covers an individual demand or a specific market demand or supply or consumption. But here macroeconomics deals with entire nation's income, entire nation's prices of goods in entire nation, distribution of income, like that. And then microeconomic focuses on individual perspectives. Means microeconomics highly focuses on individual aspect or individual point of view. But coming to macro, it focuses on general perspective. General perspective means it's a country's point of view, or overall, that means all the people's views will be considered in macro. And next, it deals with micro deals with optimization of goals of individual consumers and producers. Remember that in the first year already we discussed that the behavior of consumer, behavior of a producer, in first and second semester, that is micro analysis. But coming to macro, it deals with optimization of growth of entire economy, not just about individual or not just about a group of individuals. And lastly, microeconomics is part of macroeconomics. As you already discussed with this pic, that this area, selected area, is part of this globe. That means microeconomics is part of macroeconomics, but macroeconomics is not part of micro. Going to the next slide. Nature of macroeconomics. What is the nature of macroeconomics? Means what it deals with. Generally, economics studies the economic behavior of an individual or economic nature of an individual. Here we should understand what macroeconomics nature is, and based on that we can understand what macroeconomics is. Generally, take an example of that. While we are making friendship with any other, with new people, when we want to make a friendship with new people, generally we focus on what's his nature is or what's her nature is. Based on that we develop the relation. Similarly, here we should come to know what the nature of macroeconomics is, and based on that you can understand what macroeconomics is. Here I just presented a small text. Look at this. The nature of macroeconomics is completely different from microeconomics. Of course, we already discussed about it. And macroeconomics studies aggregate variables or the aggregate units. Therefore, therefore its nature differs from micro. And more importantly, macroeconomics deals with the elements like general price level, aggregate supply, aggregate demand, national income, total savings, total investment. So therefore, its nature is completely different from micro. So based on the elements it deals with, we can understand what macroeconomics nature is. That's what I'm going to present with this support of this text. And coming to this, words which given by Ackley. This Ackley words clearly tells us what macroeconomics nature is. Just go through the words that macroeconomics deals with economic affairs in the large. It concerns the overall dimensions of economic life. It looks at the total size and shape of functioning of the elephant of economic experience rather than working of articulation or dimensions of the individual parts. It studies the character of forest independently of the trees which compose it. We just go, there is a lot of meaning in these words are given by the Agle, that how macroeconomics differs from micro. In simple words we can say. So microeconomic deals with a selected part, macroeconomics deals with entire unit. Take an example of a forest. Macroeconomics deals with about entire forest, that means all the trees existed in the forest, whereas microeconomics deals with some selected trees in that forest. That's what the difference between micro and macro. We can better understand the nature of macroeconomics with the support of four basic elements I just have highlighted in the next slide. Just go to next slide. So the basic four elements of nature of macroeconomics are, see this: determination of national income and employment, determination of general price level, economic growth and development, distribution of factors of production. Based on these four elements, we can easily understand that what macroeconomics is. I mean, nature of macroeconomics is. Determination of national income and employment. It is very important macroeconomic variable. Second, general price level. Of course, general price level, one of the key variable of macroeconomics. Economic growth and development. This is the basic or crucial variable, macroeconomic variable. And finally, distribution of factors of production. These four elements we discuss one by one with the support of some text and pics in the next coming slides. Going to the next slide. First, we're going to discuss about national income. What do you mean by national income? You may hear about this word that generally we say personal income, national income, per capita income. There are many terms out there. So what do you mean by national income? In simple words, national income is income of a nation, or simply income of a country in a particular given period of time. Generally, this is in a financial year. Financial year, as we all know, that starts from 1st April and ends on 31st March. So, national income means the income of a nation in a given financial year is called as national income, which comes from different sources. It may comes from agriculture, it may comes from industry, it may comes from service sector, it may comes through taxes, it may comes through fee, it may comes through registration charges, like that. So that is the national income. It is very important indicator to assess the level of development of a country. म्हणजे based on the level of national income, we can easily understand or assess the level of development in that particular country. Here I had given some text and speak also, which we can better understand what national income is. National income is a key indicator which deals by the macroeconomics, because the aggregate demand and aggregate supply, that means total demand and total supply, which determines the national income. Means in every country, the national income will be determined by these two strong forces, those called as aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Simply, aggregate demand means total demand. Total demand means the entire nation's demand or the entire people's demand in that nation. Similarly, total supply or aggregate supply means the entire supply or production made by that particular nation. That is called aggregate supply. So these two factors are crucial in determining the national income. And this is the one of the important variable macroeconomics deals with. Going to the next element, that is general price level. So what do you mean by general price level? General price level is nothing but the prices of all the goods and services in a country. All the goods and services sense the selected basket goods and services prices are called as a general price level. You can see in this pic that the trends which shown through the particular symbol, that sometimes it is growing up, sometimes it is going down. So the general price level is a prices of the prices of goods and services in a selected basket. Generally this we use for calculation of inflation rate in a economy. So here macroeconomics deals with general price level, which is an important macroeconomic variable. So macroeconomic studies the general price level in an economy from time to time, its trends, that means whether it is increasing or decreasing or stable. If it is increasing, what are the reasons? If it is decreasing, what are the reasons? If it is stable, why it is? Similarly, it also discusses about the consequences of the changes in prices of these basket goods and services. And more importantly, macroeconomics deals with the two important concepts. Those are inflation and deflation. So in the further classes we discuss detail about the inflation deflation. In the further slides also I just give you a brief introduction about inflation also. Going to the next slide, the third important element what macroeconomics deals is economic growth and development. What do you mean by economic growth and development? Generally, we use the words economic growth and development as interchangeable words, but there is a distinction between economic growth and development. See this peak. In this peak, we have shown that growth one side, development in another side. So under growth, we have shown some coins that take as assume as money or assume as income. So what do you mean by growth and what do you mean by development? Both have some different meaning or a different definition. Growth means overall increase in income of a nation can be named as a growth. But coming to the development, just increase in income cannot be named as development, because development includes many aspects along with increase in income. That means Growth means we just consider as when there is an increase in national income from 10,000 to 20,000, for example, that means there is a growth. But when development will takes place, along with increase in income, people's standard of living should increase, people education levels should increase, people's health status should increase, infrastructure facilities in the country should increase, and then only we can say there is a development. Means development is a long run process and growth is a short term process. So there is a clear cut distinction between growth and development. Both are not same. So growth differs from development, development differs from growth. So macroeconomics deals with this both concepts of growth and development, and it also studies the various factors that contribute to the economic growth and development, and the factors which determine the growth and development also it will discuss about. And going to the last and fourth element of nature of macroeconomics, that is the distribution of factors of production. What do you mean by factors of production? We already discussed in the first year about factors of production. Factors of production are nothing but the factors which contributed in the process of production or production of goods and services is called as factors. Those factors we also called as inputs. म्हणजे the factors which we use to make the goods are called as factors of production. The factors which are part of the production of goods are called as factors of production. Traditionally, factors of production we discussed as a four. Those are land, labor, capital, and organization. See this peak. The four factors of production we have presented, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Entrepreneur can also name as a organizer. So distribution of factors of production. In order to produce any commodity, there is a need of all these factors of production. There is a need of land, there is a need of labor, there is a need of capital, there is a need of entrepreneur. Take an example of a particular industry. If an industry wants to produce a particular commodity, take an example of mobile. If you want to produce a mobile, you need all these factors. Beside all these four fundamental traditional factors of adoption, there are many other factors you need, or many other inputs you need to produce the mobiles. So coming to this distribution of factors of production, how these four factors of production is distributing, or how the income of factors of production distributing among themselves. Take an example of that. When you want to use land, you need to pay the rent. When you want to use labor, you need to pay wages and salaries. When you want to use capital, you need to pay interest. When you want to use, when someone brings all these factors at one place, that person we call as producer, entrepreneur, organizer, or businessman. He needs some profit that in the form of, he needs some return that is in the form of profit. So here the remuneration is going to takes place for all these factors for their contribution in the process of production or making of goods and services. This is one of the important element what macroeconomics deals with. So macroeconomics studies various factors that contribute to the production of goods and services besides these four fundamental factors of production. And then going to the next slide, we are discussing about scope of macroeconomics. Scope of macroeconomics means what is the level of macroeconomics in dealing with the issues, economic issues or economic variables. That what tells us the scope. So here I have given some text, you can go through that. Scope of macroeconomics is very wide compared with the microeconomics, because the microeconomics deals with very selected or individual units, whereas macroeconomics deals with aggregate units and large units or entire economy or entire world. So therefore the scope is very wide for macroeconomics. You can take an example here, some of the variables I have presented here. Macroeconomics studies the theory of income and employment, general price level, development and planning, trade cycle, international trade, theory of distribution, economic growth, foreign exchange, public finance, national income, many more. So unemployment, foreign exchange, the many more variables it deals with. Therefore, the scope of macroeconomics is very wide, as we already discussed while discussing the distinction between micro and macro. Some of the basic elements I have presented in the next slide to just have a view on the scope of macroeconomics. See these elements of the macroeconomics scope. Here represented national income, we already discussed about that, which is an important component. Employment, another important macroeconomic variable. Price level, that we named as a general price level. Trade cycle, that means business cycles, we also name it as a business cycle. International trade, that we hear about. Public finance, that we are going to discuss in the further units. Economic growth, we already discussed about. Money and banking, this is one of the key element what macroeconomics deals with. In the beginning I said this video is useful for other students also. The reason is this is a general knowledge useful for all the all the disciplines of students. Next, going to the variables of macroeconomics. Of course, there are many macroeconomic variables are there. I just selected few variables to deal in this video or to discuss in this video. We just go through what the variables I have taken for this video. The first is about GDP, second rate of inflation, third rate of interest, fourth rate of unemployment, fifth rate of growth, sixth exchange rate, seventh balance of payments. By discussing these variables one by one, we are going to complete this video discussion. So let us go through one by one the discussion of these macroeconomic variables. Going to the next slide. GDP. You might hear about the word many times in newspapers or in news channels or in books or somewhere. So what do you mean by GDP? GDP, the full form is gross domestic product, which is very important component and which is a very important indicator to assess the progress of a nation. You can see that every country in the world measure the gross domestic product for every financial year to estimate the progress or to estimate the level of development in that country. So that much priority is there for this concept or this macroeconomic variable. So you may go through the meaning and definition of GDP. What do you mean by GDP? So gross domestic product. If you go through these three terms, the three letters, gross domestic product. Gross means total, domestic means within the country, product means the total goods and services. Means GDP refers to the total goods and services produced by a nation in a given period of time, generally in a financial year. Means in a financial year, what are the total goods and services produced by a nation? It is called as GDP. And this is simply the final monetary value of all the goods and services produced by a country in a financial year named as a GDP. It is also called as rate of GDP. Here I have given some text, you can go through that. Gross domestic product refers to the monetary value. The monetary value in the sense money value. The money value of all the goods and services produced by that nation in that financial year can be called as GDP. So this is very important indicator. So this GDP comes from broadly three sectors, that is primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So that we also called as agriculture, industry and service sector. So the goods and services produced by the agriculture sector, industry sector and service sector. By adding all these goods of these three sectors, finally it is named as a GDP. So we calculate the final money value of these goods to estimate the gross domestic product. This gross domestic product can be measured through three different methods. That may be expenditure method, that may be income method, that may be product method. So you can go either any one of the method or you can go either any combination of two methods to calculate the GDP, but the value should be same. Means under expenditure approach or expenditure method, whatever value of GDP you received, the same way income approach also should have the same value. That is the proper or correct valuation of gross domestic product in that nation. Going to the next macroeconomic variable, that is rate of inflation. You might hear also this word, you might hear this word also, that is inflation, because it is also very popular. So what do you mean by inflation? Generally, you may have an idea about that. Increase in prices of goods and services is called as inflation. So that is not the right definition. Of course, there is a rise in prices of goods for defining inflation, but the definition of inflation is a considerable and persistent rise in the general price level over a period of time is called as inflation. Means prices of goods increases, but that should be considerable and persistent. Persistent in the sense consistently over a period of time. Continuously over a period of time, prices should grow, and then only we can say that is a inflation. So generally we call inflation as economic macroeconomic bad guy. The reason is inflation can destroy the economy. Inflation can collapse the economic activity. The reason is when inflation is very high, the value of money will be zero. Take best example you can. 10 15 years before, 15 years before, when you were child, so at that time the child, you might receive money from your parents as pocket money, as a 1 rupee, 2 rupee, or maximum or highest 5 rupees, like that. So with that 5 rupees only we used to purchase many food items to consume. And just imagine after 15 years right now, if your parents gives you 5 rupees as a pocket money, then what your expression is, can you purchase anything with 5 rupees? Of course some small items may come, but can you accept the 5 rupees as a pocket money? No, not at all. So the goods are same, the taste might be same, but the value 15 years before was different and right now it is different. Means 15 years before you used to take 5 rupees as a maximum pocket money, and now you may take 500 as a maximum, because the same goods after 15 years needs more money. Means money increased, but the value of money decreased. The same products we can purchase only by spending more money. So in that way, that is the effect of inflation. Means when inflation is going to take place, the value of money will reduce. That is the key aspect. So macroeconomics deals with this aspect of or variable of inflation in a economy. So as we all know that every country measures this rate of inflation, because every country should keep the inflation at a moderate level to achieve their goals. Otherwise, it can destroy the economy. Going to the next economic variable, I just presented a small pic to understand how inflation may arise. So that means demand pull, cost push, built-in inflation. So means by increasing more demand, inflation may takes place. By increasing cost of production, inflation may takes place. By built-in aspects, that means when prices are increasing, the generally government or companies will increase the wages of their employees. In that way also inflation may increase. So just for having a look at causes or the reasons behind the inflation, I presented this pic to you. So in the further classes we go in detail how these factors will cause the high rate of inflation or low rate of inflation. Going to the next slide, interest rate. So this is one of the important macroeconomic variable deals by the macroeconomics. Interest rate is one of the key element in any economy. It can change the total savings in the economy. It can change the total investment in the economy. It can change the total consumption in the economy. It can change the total capital in the economy. Means Based on the changes in rate of interest, many other economic variables will be influenced. Take best example of that. When rate of interest on bank savings increased, for example, right now the savings rate offers by banks on our bank savings is, for example, 4%. If banks increase this saving interest rate from 4% to 6%, then what we do? We want to save more. The reason is we will get more return. And that means when interest rate increases, we want to save more and we want to consume less. That means we will reduce our consumption and increase our saving. In the opposite way, for example, interest rate reduced by the banks from 4% to 2%. Then what will happen? We may not interested to save more money because the rate of interest is very low. The return will be very low. Then what we do? We save less money. We will spend more money. That how interest rate impacts on consumer mind. And what about producer mind? It's different. When interest rate is low, producer will be very happy because he takes more loans and he will invest more, he will produce more, he will sell more, and he will get more profit. Similarly, if interest rate is high, he will take less loans, he will produce less, he will sell less, and profit will be low. So that much impact is there for interest rate in the economy. This interest rate is one of the important macroeconomic variable deals by the macroeconomics. So here I had given formula for calculation of simple interest and compound interest, which you are already aware about. Going to the next slide. Unemployment. Guys, you already aware much about this unemployment, which is one of the fundamental problems of many developing countries. Even it is a problem for developed countries like America also. So unemployment is increasing continuously with increase in population in almost all the countries. So this is one of the biggest problem faced by the world because population is increasing, but the jobs are not increasing as much as increase in population. So that is the reason unemployment is going to increase. So what do you mean by unemployment? Unemployment is the amount of people within an economy who are willing and able to work at available wage rate, but they fail to find a job for them. And those people we can call as a unemployed. Means a person is ready to work at available wage rate in a particular field, but he doesn't find a job. Then we can say he's unemployed. And otherwise the person, for example, is not ready to work at available wage rate and he's cannot be called as unemployed. Reason is work is available for him, but he is not ready to work at this wage rate, whatever offering by the industry. So those people we cannot call as unemployed. Only the people we call as unemployed are the people who are ready and willing to work at available wage rate but fail to find a job is called as unemployed. There are many types of unemployments deals by the macroeconomics, such as frictional unemployment, seasonal unemployment, and structural unemployment. Seasonal unemployment means you can take example of agriculture. In agriculture, in a particular season only, work will be available. In another season, there will be no work. Such kind of unemployment is called seasonal unemployment. Frictional unemployment means people always try to change their jobs for a period of time. So that kind of unemployment is called as frictional unemployment. Means in search of new job, they find some new jobs, they left the old job. In such a way, people will change from one job to another job. So this is one of the important macroeconomic variable we can discuss about. I just presented here how the unemployment rate will be calculated in the particular country, that is through unemployed people divided by the total labor force in the country multiplied with 100. Next, growth rate. This is one of the key indicator we can say about in a particular economy. So how growth rate determines the progress of a nation or the level of development in that particular nation. As we already discussed in the beginning, the growth and development concept. Again, here the growth we are discussing about is that growth rate is nothing but an indicator of performance of an economy or a country. So based on the growth rate, we can understand what is the performance of India, what is the performance of USA, what is the performance of China, what is the performance of Russia. Means based on the rate of growth, we can understand how the countries are growing, how the countries are achieving development. This growth rate is nothing but simply GDP. As we already discussed about that, the rate of GDP is nothing but growth rate. So based on this growth rate, we can assess or we can understand the level of development in a particular country. I just presented here a small equation to estimate the change in real GDP. Going to the next slide. Exchange rate. What do you mean by exchange rate? Exchange rate is the rate at which one country currency is going to exchange with another country currency. I repeat again here. Exchange rate means the rate at which one country currency is exchanging with another country currency. That is called as exchange rate. You can see this pic that there are different currency symbols presented in this pic, that is US dollar, Indian rupees, Britain pound. So these are the different currencies, Europe's euro. So these were the currencies are presented in this pic. So you can understand every country have their own currency. Currency is not same for all the countries. So when you make transactions within India, everyone will accept the rupee. But when you enter an international market, they may not accept the Indian rupee. So what you have to do? You have to acquire the internationally accepted currency like US dollar, Euro dollar to have transaction in international market. That means import or export. So in order to make export and import, a firm or an individual or the government or a company need to participate and need to enter in this exchange market in order to exchange the currencies. Simply, we can say generally we buy the goods by giving money, but here we are buying money by giving money. That's what called currency is going to purchase currency. So that is the transactions takes place in international exchange market. So everyone exchange their country's currency into internationally accepted countries accepted international accepted currency in order to participate in international transactions. This is one of the important variable macroeconomics deals with. So here I presented the exchange rate formula just for have an understanding about how exchange rate will be calculated. Going to the next slide. Here, this is the last macroeconomic variable you are going to discuss about. That is balance of payments. What do you mean by balance of payments? Balance of payments is nothing but it is a systematic record of all the transactions of a nation with rest of the world in a particular period of time, generally in a financial year. Means balance of payments is a financial statement shows the total exports and imports of a nation with other countries in a financial year. That's what called as balance of payments. That statement shows the total credit and debit. Take an example of bank balance sheet. Bank balance sheet consists two elements, that is credits and debit. In the same way, here balance of payments also like a financial statement shows the total credit and debit. What credit and what debit means? Whatever you are exported, that is credit. Whatever you are imported, that is debit. So the value of exports entered under credit side, value of imports entered on debit side. So whatever the total value of exports and imports is there, based on the balance of payments value will be decides. In the balance of payments, there are two broad accounts are there. One is called as capital account, one is called as current account, second is called capital account. Current account includes the transactions related to goods and services, And capital account includes the financial assets or financial transactions will be entered under capital account. So every country wants to maintain a balance between these two accounts, current account and capital account, in order to maintain a balanced balance of payments. Otherwise, the balance of payments may be deficit, may be surplus. So in order to avoid the surplus and avoid the deficit, so every country tries to maintain a balance in balance of payments. So this is the another important variable macroeconomics deals with. So you can see the balance of payments equal to balance of current account plus balance of capital account plus balance of financial account. This is the third account which makes a balance between the current and capital account. Going to the next slide. This is the conclusion of this video. In this video, we have briefly discussed about that the introduction to the macroeconomics, nature of macroeconomics, and elements of macroeconomics, nature, scope of macroeconomics, elements under scope of macroeconomics, and the macroeconomic variables which are very crucial or important. We highlighted the macroeconomic variables and made the discussion one by one. So hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope it will be useful for all of you. I request you all to drop your comment for improvement, for better video making. Hope you all will enjoy this video and make your valuable suggestions or comments to improve myself for further videos. Stay tuned, this channel will post further more videos of different subjects related to economics. Thank you very much. I thank you all for your patience to listen this lecture. Thank you so much. Thank you all once again for your patience and support. Thank you so much.